Hi guys. Aria's here today, and so we're talking about my keto diet.
And what else? What do you have?
Glut1.
And what else?
I have seizures.
Yeah. And what helps your seizures?
I have to eat. If I don't eat, I'm gonna get seizures and I'm gonna get sick.
If you don't eat, you're going to get seizures and get sick?
Yeah.
And how does your body feel since you've been on the keto diet?
It feels kind of weird.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. How does it feel weird?
Well, when I always go outside, my head hurts.
When you go outside, your head hurts? So what do you have to wear so your head doesn't hurt when you go outside? What are you supposed to wear on your face?
On my face.
On your eyes?
On my sunglasses.
Yep. Bing, bing, bing. All right, Mommy's going to talk to our friends now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say bye?
Bye.
Tell them how you're liking kindergarten really quick. Thumbs up.
Mm.
And how's your keto diet been at school?
Good.
Good. Okay, go play. Love you.
Love you.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I know I went live, was it last week, and kind of gave an update about Ari. And I wanted to go live again because a lot of people from multiple groups have been reaching out to me about Glut1. There's a lot of new studies going on right now for Glut1, and once again, I'll explain what it is. Glut1 is a glucose transporter issue. So basically what that means is Aria's brain doesn't transport, or Aria's transporter doesn't transport glucose to her brain properly the way it should. So instead of her, eating foods with glucose and her brain getting energy, her brain starves, which is why she's on a ketogenic diet. So what that does is it rewires her brain to believe that she needs fat to get fuel. So instead of glucose, her brain is now burning fat for energy, if that makes sense. So I wanted to kind of talk about like infancy and Glut1 and some of the signs that we noticed and some things that get misdiagnosed that are common. So one thing that a lot of people don't know about Glut1 is every case ranges from mild to severe. So it's crazy because every single child and every person that is diagnosed with Glut1, it's a different story, it's a different journey, it's a different situation, but they all have one thing in common. The majority of them have been misdiagnosed for something else early on. So I know my last video I talked about seizures, right? Seizures are a big symptom of Glut1. And that's one that Aria had very strong when she was a baby, but was misdiagnosed as fine motor tics, which is very scary. But some other ones that she had. So one was low muscle tone. And I wanted to talk about that one a little bit because commonly with Glut1, the kids have low muscle tone, even as babies, which means they don't quite sit up the same way. They don't quite roll. They can't really roll over very well. When they start walking, they're very wobbly and off balance. And quite often, children with Glut1 also have hypotonia. So I'm going to share this and ataxia and other things that cause low muscle tone. Another thing that is common with Glut1 is movement episodes. So Aria used to have these episodes where she would just cry and say that she could not walk. This started happening, I would say, probably about 2 years old. She would get tired out really easily. And I always thought, that it was really odd because, she would cry and hold her legs. And even after dance class, when she was like 3, 4, she would cry and hold her legs. I remember one time we were at a trunk or treat for Halloween, and she was begging her dad to pick her up because she said she couldn't walk anymore. We used to think at first like, oh, she just has balance issues and low muscle tone, which we knew as a baby that she had some issues with low muscle tone, but we didn't really know why. And they basically told us that it wasn't enough of a concern, that it was a fine motor tic, that she, had some developmental things, but nothing too crazy or too dramatic to where they needed to really look into anything. So here's my point in this, okay? I knew when she was a baby that she didn't look quite right. I knew when she was a toddler that she stood very slouched over. I knew that she wasn't speaking as quickly as she should be, that she wasn't able to cognitively, to be able to retain information the same way that my son did. And, I went to the doctor and I said, hey, this is what's happening with my daughter. And you know what they said to me? Different kids, okay? But here's the thing. That was not the case in Aria's case, right? So I kept pushing because little things started happening before the seizures even started. A bunch of the red flags, one being low muscle tone, hypotonia, and movement episodes that were unexplained. Those are just some of the things that were happening where I was like, this is not just a normal situation. Like, yeah, is it mild? Sure. Does it happen every once in a while? Did her seizures start out that way? Yeah, they started out at about 4 months old. They were little eye rolls that you could only notice when you were like changing her diaper or engaging, like trying to look in her eyes. And one of her eyes, her right eye, was slightly off as a baby. And these are things that I noticed and picked up on, but no one else did. And the doctor, unfortunately, didn't see anything serious with her and misdiagnosed her with a fine motor tic. So that leads me to my next point. When it comes to Glut1, it can be really hard to get a diagnosis. And this goes out to anyone who has a child with epilepsy who has failed 5 or more medications. Get your child on the ketogenic diet. Do not keep playing around with the different medications and upping the doses and, sitting there and, saying all these medications have failed, let me try another harmful one to my child. Because I will tell you, coming from a parent who watched their child turn into a zombie over the course of a year because not one medication helped my daughter. And the reason for that is it was a metabolic issue, okay? The only known form of treatment as of right now for Glut1, outside of a couple cases where some medications do work, is the ketogenic diet. So that's why it's worked so well for Aria, and she's a completely different kid because of it. So I want to stress that point a lot to everyone. And I'm doing this live video on my Facebook page, but I am going to share it in my epilepsy groups, and in the hypotonia group I'm in, because I feel that, the Glut1 Foundation knows that there are about 40,000 people that are undiagnosed with Glut1. And the problem is that there are only 600 cases worldwide right now of Glut1, but it is known that it ranges from mild to severe. It is known that some children, Aria as an example, have Glut1 and don't have the genetic marker. You see, typically it's a genetic marker on the SLC2A1 gene. Aria doesn't have that genetic marker, but they're working on other genes right now. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't have Glut1 because of the fact that her blood glucose level in her spine is low and only 30% of glucose crosses her brain barrier. The improvements that we've seen on the keto diet when it comes to her were key factors in us being able to get a diagnosis for Glut1. So there again, I'm going to give you more symptoms of Glut1, and you'll see why it can be misdiagnosed, okay? So 1, seizures as an infant, very small seizures, or even, grand mal seizures, absent seizures. Any form of childhood epilepsy could be a symptom of Glut1, okay? Low muscle tone, hypotonia, ataxia, speech delay, cognitive delay. Let's see, what else? I know I have all my Glut1 mamas on here. They can add in the comments more stuff that could be symptoms, but headaches, stomach aches, just noticing that they don't process sugar the same way. Really just seeing their energy level go just out of nowhere. Highs, lows, mental, yes, hi. Mental and physical attributes.
Can I go down to Autumn?
Yeah, you can go down to Autumn's, that's fine. Just behave, please, and come back when you need to eat. Because you just ate, so you have about an hour and a half till you need to eat again. Aria eats every 2 hours. Bye, girls. Have fun. Aria, behave.
I heard about that. She doesn't for 2 hours.
But anyways, so there's just so many different symptoms of Glut1 that it's very easy for it to be misdiagnosed. Again, this is glucose 1 transporter deficiency syndrome. Look it up. Get familiar with the Glut1 Foundation, because 40,000 undiagnosed people, I've been working endlessly, tirelessly, trying to help other moms, trying to help other parents find answers as to why their child has been on countless medications for epilepsy, or had tons of tests done for hypotonia, or, unexplained movement episodes, but has not had a lumbar puncture yet. I cannot stress this enough. The only way to diagnose a child with Glut1 is through lumbar puncture. Does it sound scary? Sure it does. But you know what? The scarier thing is living with a child who's having 400 absent seizures a day and only seeing 150 of them. So when it came to doing the lumbar puncture and looking it up and researching it and being terrified at the fact that my child was going to have a spinal, I realized that having her live with epilepsy that I could not control with medication, and not trying it and risking it all and, seeing what the results were, that was worse to me than, the spinal tap itself. So think about that. If you've had a neurologist tell you, no, don't do a spinal tap, whatever, go to them and say, listen, my kid has been on multiple medications. Nothing is working. My child is 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever, 12 years old, still doesn't have a diagnosis. There's a reason for that. So if you're that parent out there, I urge you to look into Glut1, because like I said, there are so many symptoms of Glut1. And the crazy thing is each kid is different. Each case is different. Some kids, they don't have the epilepsy. They have tremors instead. They have hypotonia. They have, ataxia. They have, just different symptoms than Ari does. She falls into the mild category, even with upwards of 400 absent seizures a day, right? So 15 different symptoms for something like Glut1. I mean, there's bound to be misdiagnosis everywhere, and Ari is just one of those cases. So please, I'm asking you, if you have a minute and you're able to share this video, let's share together so that we can together help other parents out there get the word out about Glut1, because it's truly not as rare as everyone thinks it is. And every single neurologist, every single epilepsy specialist, every single dietitian, nutritionist, everyone who's dealing with children when they're on a ketogenic diet should know about Glut1 deficiency syndrome. So that's my goal here, is to just continue spreading awareness and letting people know that, if you have a child and you don't have answers, please look into metabolic issues, especially if it's hypotonia, or epilepsy. Just do it. It's worth it. It's worth it because it could be the answers to your prayers, just like it was for us. Getting Aria on that ketogenic diet has been a complete change for her. She's a completely different kid. She's cognitively improved, behaviorally improved. She's mentally, physically, emotionally improved. She used to struggle with balance, and now she's running, jumping, skipping, dancing, doing all these things that she used to struggle doing. And now she's doing them, with oomph. Like she's accelerating at such an amazing speed for her age group, which is awesome. Watching her struggle for so long and seeing what the ketogenic diet has given her, the amount of seizure control it has given her, and the way her life has drastically changed in such a short period of time has been nothing shy of a miracle. So I have Caden here. He wants to say a couple things.
So basically what epilepsy is when she's having a seizure, she is basically having a cloud in her brain that basically blocks off everything that she was doing that second.
That's right. And what do you think about the keto diet?
I think that's awesome for her.
And what differences have you seen in your sister?
She is way more active.
Yeah. What else?
She does way more stuff.
She plays more, right? She's
Yes.
outside more, running around.
And she falls less. She stares at, nothing.
Right? She barely has blank stare seizures.
Falls.
Yeah. Oh, now you're crazy. But yeah, so Aria update for you guys from her big brother, from her mother, and from Aria herself. Thanks for watching. Bye.